Hoover Stadium in the background, Penn State campus, Jeffrey Field, the place to be on this championship Sunday. The Big Ten Women's Soccer Tournament closing out in style with two top 10 teams clashing this afternoon, Rutgers and Penn State. This is how we got here. Remember, just the second year for Rutgers in the Big Ten Conference. So that was a monumental win over Minnesota, their first ever in the tournament. Then a clean sheet over Ohio State on Friday. For Penn State, it started with a 3-1 victory over Illinois. They also had a shutout performance during the semifinals over an impressive Michigan team. So here we go, number 1 seed versus the 3rd seed. And we begin with Rutgers. Kobe Shiraka has scored goals in 5 of the last 6 games, including on Friday.
Yeah, she scored in the semis in the victory over Ohio State. She leads Rutgers' attack with 8 goals because of her off-the-ball movement and runs in anticipation of service.
Nittany Lions, a lot of options to put the ball into the goal.
It is a balanced offensive powerhouse between Weber, Schaefer, and Kraus. They account for 26 of Penn State's 42 goals. Kraus, in particular, the sophomore, had the game winner against Michigan. She has 8 goals this season because of her speed and long-range strike ability.
Yes, she had an impressive strike on Friday, and there's Britt Ekstrom, the 5th-year senior Eckerstrom, played in all the games except 80 minutes, 7 shutouts on the season. Erica Walsh, 9th season, and she says that this team, considering their earlier loss to Rutgers, they've had this one circled for a while, so really looking forward to it. Erica Walsh and her coaching staff. Mike O'Neill on the other sideline. Not a cloud in the sky, a crisp, cool, beautiful fall day to decide a championship. Wearing the white shirts on their home field, the Penn State Nittany Lions, is Raquel Rodriguez will distribute. Emily Ogle, number 10, such a big force in the midfield for Penn State. There's Mallory Weber after it, but it's cleaned up by Rutgers. Katkowski loses it. Ogle for Rodriguez, the goal scorer for Penn State against Michigan. Where's number 9, Franny Kraus? Right back to Rodriguez. Represented Costa Rica in their first ever appearance in the Women's World Cup and scored their first ever goal, did Raquel Rodriguez, number 11 in blue and white. Zogel will turn it back. And Kate, the midfield should be crucial today.
It's going to be a complete midfield battle, according to Coach O'Neill. This is one area that head coach Erica Walsh for the Nittany Lions said they wanted to improve upon. So what they've done is they've actually put 5 in the midfield, asked Kraus and Weber to sit back a bit more on that wing space, and then attack and get to become forwards when they win the ball.
Mike O'Neill, his 2nd season at the helm of Rutgers. They're unbeaten in their last 10, the longest unbeaten run in program history. It's Rodriguez. They'll stay with the Nittany Lions as they've controlled the ball here in the early moments. Spacingher loses to Madison Tierney. Holds the line. It's Coach Erica Walsh in that victory over Michigan. And match would Michigan had a lot of numbers back around their box, so it was very patient Penn State team that persevered on Friday.
That was required. Michigan played a very tactical game, knowing that they were a bit outnumbered in the attack, wanted to be able to keep the game close and then try to break open, use some fresh legs. Unfortunately, when they did have those moments, they weren't able to capitalize. But Penn State stayed strong to their style of play, were patient, and finally one fell when Franny Kraus struck a bomb from long distance, beating Megan Hins in goal, giving Penn State the victory.
She actually threw Elizabeth Ball up top, the defender, because that was her natural position coming into college, but just trying to break through that blanket defense from Michigan. There's Ball, the clearance. Calling for the midfield, Raquel Rodriguez. She's nicknamed Rocky. Britt Eckerstrom put a name tag on her with that moniker the first couple of days when she was a freshman, and that nickname has stuck with Rodriguez since. Out of the scrum, Rodriguez. Some room to move for Franny Kraus and time to weigh her options. Kaylee Reel missing Rodriguez, but Ball is back. The offside flag coming up as we look at the path for Rutgers making it to the finals. First ever tournament win against Minnesota. And that's a quality Ohio State team that they shut down. You were impressed with the play of Brianne Reed and how she handled Nichelle Prince in that Ohio State matchup.
Yeah, Brianne Reed and the center back pairing between her and Skrosky, they just shut down opponents. It's going to be interesting to see this tactical and technical matchup between these two teams. An offensive powerhouse against a team that is built for defense, and they're so disciplined, Rutgers, from top to bottom. They make other teams make mistakes, and then they capitalize on them.
We saw it on Friday. They're not afraid to swarm the ball with 9 players. Lobbed over the top by Reel, missing the connection. Imagine the nerves start to settle a little bit now, 5 minutes in. All-time tournament records, 5 titles for Penn State, their last one coming in 2008. Tiernan there as they clash, and Ball stays down a little longer.
Madison Tiernan needs to be careful. In the last play when her and Rodriguez were going to go for that aerial ball, she actually pushed Rodriguez after the fact, and then she takes a running start. That's just a poor angle to take towards Elizabeth Ball. She wasn't going to win it. She just would have stayed her feet or just kind of get and force the ball out of bounds. That would have been a better decision. But right now, Tiernan's ready to play and a little bit overeager, and that's coming across in her tackles.
Rutgers has not lost since September 27th, a 1-0 loss to Northwestern. Feeling so confident, but Penn State rarely loses at Jeffrey Field. Possession wrestled back by Ellie Jean. Mal Weber. Dries on the outside. Ellie Jean floats it into the box, but hurriedly out by Rutgers. That eludes Ball, but there to back her up is Kaylee Reel, and feeling the heat, makes the right decision.
You get to see how fast Rutgers is when they get an opportunity to break and apply pressure. Between Ignacio, Shiraka up top, and Tiernan, they are harassing defensive pressures when they don't have the ball, which makes it very difficult for any back line, first of all, to set play, but it also makes them uncomfortable in every single clear.
Rutgers head coach Mike O'Neill saying yesterday for both teams everything starts with possession, and possession definitely favoring Penn State so far. Smith on to Katkowski. Such an important piece there in the midfield. Haley Katkowski, number 11 for Rutgers. She went 90 minutes versus Ohio State. Also on the back line, Reed and Skrosky and Wright as well went the full 90. Good composure by Rodriguez to maintain control. Basinger. Dries splashes out wide for Franny Kraus. As Dries gives it a hit from distance, but it's blocked by Katkowski. Now on the follow-through, Rodriguez. turning away from congestion. Franny Kraus, good little switch down the far side. And the first corner of the game will be awarded to Penn State.
You get to see in that whole entire build-up play how important that midfield is. Rodriguez was setting play, Kraus, the midfielder, was setting play, and from a deeper position, they're launching attacks like this end-line clearance. Excellent defending by Marash, the left back, a player that's been out of the lineup off and on all season for Rutgers due to a concussion, but now she's back and they need leadership on the flank out there.
Yeah, we saw it in the second half on Friday. In that victory over Ohio State. There's Rodriguez, takes a deflection. Penn State scores the opening goal.
One thing every coach we talk to who faces Rutgers is we gotta capitalize on set pieces because this is their weakness. And we get to see Penn State do exactly just that. Rodriguez wins that ball. Number 7, Streese, is screening Casey Murphy, the goalkeeper from Rutgers. She's not able to do a reaction save. This is a team that has been well scouted, and Rutgers has only given up 13, now 14 goals all season, and most of them have been off corner kicks.
Erica Walsh had the numbers down. 83% of the goals allowed this season for Rutgers have been off of set pieces, and that theme strikes here early. Casey Murphy, the goals against average of .29, covers up so much of that net with her size, but they are able to put one by her off the corner.
The Penn State goal scored by number 7, Elizabeth Ball. Assisted by
Basinger.
number 11, Raquel Rodriguez, and number 23, Nicolette Reese. Goal scored in the 9th minute. Penn State goal
So
scored
Ball
by
gets the goal. That was
by Rodriguez and
initially hit off the corner by Rodriguez, who carries into the area. Franny Kraus. The waiting arms of Casey Murphy.
You get to see another look. An excellent ball by Drees in, but look at the movement and the aggression. It deflects off Elizabeth Ball, who just flicks it on. Her nickname is the Wrecking Ball. Recruited as a forward, excellent in the air. Right there, she just redirects it. She not only provided a screen where Casey Murphy, the goalkeeper, couldn't get to it, she also put it in the spot where she couldn't even save it when she did see it.
Cooley ducked down so she didn't inadvertently block it.
And the reason why that happened is Rutgers had no aggression on that. They weren't the first one on the ball. It didn't look like anyone even wanted to try to battle with it. They all were on their heels. And to me, that's a team that has been rattled on set pieces and hasn't quite found their confidence yet to deal with them.
Rutgers has won the last 5 games at Jeffrey Field. They opened the season with a pair of wins at the Penn State tournament, so they do have some confidence on this field, and they've changed that goal to Rodriguez. We'll wait for full clarification whether it's Rodriguez or Ball, because it's tough to decipher. There's Franny Kraus. Look at Kraus just dink that ball back, but can't do anything with it. Erin Smith, she is always game to go forward. She says she doesn't have full control to go wherever she wants. There are limits. It's looped over the top. First time around the penalty area for Rutgers. Eckerstrom dashing out to gather it in. And let's take another look at that goal.
Get to see Rodriguez first to the ball. And it is Elizabeth Ball with the deflection. Couldn't tell at first if she just ducked or if she actually redirected it, and she absolutely did. And I think it's the combination of that screen that she was standing right in front of Casey Murphy. She couldn't really see the ball, and then the redirection. There was no way someone like Casey Murphy, who is one of the best goalkeepers in the nation, could ever have saved that.
Katkowski, Madison Tiernan. We saw her work rate. She hasn't scored the goals, number 73 this year for Rutgers that she anticipated, but she and Shiraka really set that tone defensively, how they just try to aggressively win that ball up high. As Aaron Smith. Katkowski's pass is intercepted by Ellie Jean. There's Brianne Reed along with Skrosky. That lethal center back pairing for Rutgers. Visions there of Ignacio. And Kate Margraf, what are your keys for Rutgers this afternoon in this championship match?
Well, for Rutgers to get back in this, they need to go back to their strength, which is possession. And they do that by stretching the field. As you'll see right now, they aren't connecting more than 2 or 3 passes. They need to expand, find each other, and everything starts and ends with them in that possession. And that's because they've been losing the midfield battle. They've been outnumbered, but also they've been outmaneuvered. They just don't have the movement that we're used to seeing. And they need to get that back on track if they have a chance to come back in this game.
Katkowski is fouled there by Dries. Valiant will bring it in. Mike O'Neill giving some instructions. Darren Smith in the meantime. Curled in nicely by Valiant and watched out by Eckerstrom. Keys for Penn State today.
Well, for Penn State, they need to make the simple pass, and you've seen them been able to do that. The last time they played each other when they lost is because they were trying to hit 15, 20-yard passes. This time they need to get numbers around the ball and break down this incredibly organized Rutgers side with tiny passes and then movement off the ball.
We mentioned Rutgers won the regular season matchup over Penn State, but Erica Walsh was talking yesterday about what a difficult week that was. It started Thursday in Purdue, then back to the Penn State campus for classes on Friday, and then that trip to Rutgers. She said she woke up Sunday morning on game day and couldn't see straight, and it was just in case her team was too tired to play.
Yeah, if the head coach is tired, there's probably a good chance that the team is as well. And you know what? They also played against a side that is excellent at home. They're 10-0-1 at home compared to on the road when they struggle a bit more. So not only were they fatigued, they're playing against a team that just gets a huge boost in motivation playing in front of their home crowd. And they just got outplayed that day.
They beat them last year as well at Penn State, did Rutgers on the road. They've won the last 4 meetings between these two teams. A lot of first half success for Erica Walsh's team. Outscoring the opposition 22-4. Really lopsided numbers in important departments. Reeled in by Eckerstrom. Just under a half hour to go in this opening half championship match of the Big Ten tournament. Next to Kate Margraf, I'm Dan Kelly, our BTN crew. We're all delighted with the weather today. It was warmer on Friday, but not a cloud in the sky, and this is almost ideal soccer weather for the players too, right, Kate?
You can run all day in weather like this, especially with that sun. Warms you up a little bit. You can just, whatever tiredness you had from Friday's game, it just goes away because the excitement. Both coaches talked about how their teams aren't as tired as they usually are coming into the Big Ten tournament because they've gotten rid of that game that usually happens in the week and 3 games that make up the conference tournament. Because of that, you're going to see a higher quality game today.
Yeah, even if you have the quarterfinals on Wednesday, still wasn't enough time for full recovery. Dries. There's Emily Ogle. Running onto it. Ellie Jean. Maneuvers the cross in, but Rutgers was ready, headed away by Shiraka. Panacio gets by Rodriguez. Bounding shot from distance. Eckerstrom gets a chance to get a feel for the ball here in the early moments. For all the latest news, insight, and information on Big Ten soccer, follow Soccer on BTN on Twitter today. Good player for young, aspiring collegiate soccer players to watch for Penn State is Emily Ogle. Coach Erica Walsh talking about how she tests very low on everything. It's just her intelligence that opens things up. As this is Weber trying to get the cross in, doesn't, but another corner, and we know what can occur off of corners. So we saw that opening goal for Penn State off of the same corner spot.
This is something that Penn State can have a chance to really knock the confidence level of Rutgers. And Rutgers, in contrast, if they can get ahead on it, I think that's going to be a huge boost for them, because this has really been their Achilles heel, defending corner kicks all season long.
Dries strikes it. And it was Madison Tiernan who was able to get her head to it first. The second ball, there's Emily Ogle. The captain of the U20s. Snaps it in. Casey Murphy takes a bump, but avoids any spillage.
It's a good chance to see her range off her line. Modern goalkeepers these days are not expected to stay on their goal line, especially those that can come out strong and command the box and grab it and hold on to it between the 6 and the 18. And that was a grab around the 12-yard line. That gives your defense such a boost, knowing that she can come out like that. Means as a back line, you can stay higher. And that's a much more difficult ball to thread that needle, cutting down that space when you have a goalkeeper that has that kind of range and mobility.
She's got a lot of motivation, the sophomore. Mike O'Neill saying she's determined to be a part of a lot of the great U.S. goalkeepers that we've seen over the years. Just a sophomore, already third all-time in shutouts, is Rutgers now on the counter. Shiraka, perimeter of the area.
Rutgers is a little bit off kilter right now. They're holding back. They pushed their 2 wide forwards in the back.
Look at the power there of Schaefer. Makes the turn to escape the coverage from Skrosky.
But then you have ball right there. But to get back to it, they decided to pull their forwards back a little bit into the midfield. You can see Schaefer. She just picks her pocket, Skrosky. But this is what Rutgers does so well. If the first defender gets beat, they always have a good covering second defender in close distance to clean up and sweep up whatever mess was created. But this is something Rutgers isn't used to doing, is now counterattacking. They build everything with possession, so having a quick break and having to shoot, that's not really their strength anymore. Their strength is trying to get passes and set play from that possession. So once they win it, they don't need to go forward right away. They can go back to what makes them good and connect some passes and build that confidence.
That collision again. It was Mallory Weber going forward for Penn State, colliding with Casey Murphy.
And here we can see a look of Casey Murphy and her strong hands to be able to hold onto that ball from the Mallory Weber challenge.
She got a little talking to.
Deserved.
It's nice to see 4 officials this afternoon for the championship match. 3 of them women.
And they've been great last game. Now I'm a bit harsh on officials usually, but the semifinals, 2 games were 2 of the best officiated games I have seen all season. And it's great to see women given chances as referees in these higher profile games, because when the stakes are high, they need to put in that environment, because a lot of these women are going to be called upon for big stage events, youth national teams, and possibly World Cup and Olympics. They need this experience right now.
Maggie Morash seeking some space along the far touchline. Numbers coming from Penn State. Rodriguez. Little championship intensity from Raquel Rodriguez.
And she's definitely bringing it today. This is a lot more active than when we saw her on Friday night. She's got a little extra intensity to her game today. A lot more movement off the ball, passing it quicker when she gets it. She's ready to win her team a championship if she can.
To calm things down, Ellie Jean for Penn State. Yeah, Raquel Rodriguez saying it's her dream to help deliver the first ever national championship to this program. First things first, now going for the Big Ten tournament title. Was trying to lay off for Valiant. Recovered by Penn State. Ogle sees she's got some room. Emily Ogle meandering her way towards goal and just runs into some congestion there, but Rodriguez right behind her pushes out wide to Mal Weber. Good ball control by Weber. Rodriguez again. But it's Inacio on the takeaway, and she can cruise. And runs into Elizabeth Ball. So Weber just slows things down a touch. Pass barely squeaks through to Ogle. Rodriguez, so much composure. Dries. Schaefer over for Basinger. Cross coming. Eludes Rodriguez. Second ball comes down. Franny Kraus has time. Lets it rip, but took a little too much time unleashing that shot on the follow-through. Long shot. Make it 2-0. Emily Ogle.
The sheer numbers around the ball is what is giving Penn State the advantage, not only in the run of play, but also on the scoreline. A sustained attack with multiple players getting opportunities because they're in great offensive shape. First, Franny Kraus gets a deflection. It goes to Emily Ogle, who has that first touch, touches it into space, picks her head up. That buys her feet enough time to get that excellent placement, plant foot pointing into the far post, and she beats Casey Murphy. Both goals so far, Casey Murphy has had no chance of stopping the goalkeeper from the Scarlet Knights. And Emily Ogle making an impact on the scoreline. She's a player that isn't the fastest, isn't the strongest, doesn't have a ton of goals, but she might be the best player on the field today.
And that's what Erica Walsh said was the problem in their loss against Rutgers. She humbly said it was a bad coaching decision, and the placement on the field that's a big piece they didn't utilize in the right place that day. And Ogle makes her impact felt, making it 2-0 for Penn State.
Substitution for Penn State, number 12, Charlotte Williams, replacing number 23, Nicolette Reese, and number 5,
Elliston there, the defensive work. As Charlotte Williams also onto the pitch for Penn State. Some fresher legs here for the final 20 minutes of the opening half.
Even though that attack didn't work, that's already better from Rutgers because the sheer number of players involved in the attack. Before their midfield, before that second goal went in, that midfield will be sitting back a little bit too much. They're having two defensive mids to try to deal with Penn State's attack. But when they're on the ball, they're not then leaving that spot and going forward. And that lack of numbers is what's hurting them trying to build and possess out of the back.
So we look at the goal one more time by Emily Ogle.
You get to see it. She's trying to get her feet right, takes a little hop, and then she does. Anytime you're around the 18, though.
Eckerstrom off the line, and it was a good idea because Colby Shiraka was steaming in.
That's the beauty of Colby Shiraka. She always anticipates service, and then she times her run accordingly. She's so rarely offsides in that moment when you see a lot of other forwards that would get a little too eager. But Britt Eckerstrom, in an advanced position from her goal line, was able to come out and kick that away to safety.
Katkowski got ahead to it, but picking up the scraps, Megan Schaefer. Charlotte Williams will be a corner. And this is how Penn State scored the opening goal. And this is something for Penn State to score 2 goals early. This is a Rutgers team that's only allowed 6 goals coming into this game, tied with BYU and West Virginia for the fewest in college soccer. Ogle has the most recent. She'll strike it into the penalty area off the corner, but again, it's been Tiernan. Good in the box defensively, knocks it away. Franny Kraus from distance. Doesn't get through. But Penn State stays behind the ball. Jeffrey Field, Penn State campus. Big Ten Women's Soccer Tournament. Basinger. Charlotte Williams, she's got those lightning quick first 2 steps, does number 12 in blue and white. Elliston, a few cheeky moves on the outside, but can't keep it. Penn State Army warming up the atmosphere.
You gotta love Sunday afternoons, cheering section. That's what's great about college soccer.
So Benedente in for right.
Benedente is a possession-style player. She likes to get the ball, play off one another, and keep it. That's something Rutgers is trying to find as their possession game, something that they usually have against most opponents, but haven't been able to find it yet today.
His ball is called on the foul there, taking down Caitlin Walters. Readying for this free kick, under 15 minutes to go in the first half. Cassidy, Benedente, readies. High service into the area. Bicycled out by Elizabeth Ball. Looped right back in by Katkowski. Will come out. Prager a little overzealous. Anything surprise you so far, Kate, besides these 2 quick goals from Penn State, scoring against a team that doesn't allow a lot?
Rutgers likes to stretch teams with their movement and their possession, but I think that's what's happened to them. Penn State's imposed their will. They've outnumbered them in the midfield, and they got that edge with that goal, and they just haven't taken their foot off the gas since.
Schaefer, Williams. Franny Kraus. Clever little turn, left-footed shot. Murphy doesn't secure it, but parries it aside. Another corner coming.
Corner kick, Penn State. Substitution for Penn State.
Franny Kraus, so good on the wing. There's a little bit of something on that ball. The spin of that took a weird bounce when it went up to Casey Murphy, but she was in a good position to block it out of bounds.
Is Eckert now onto the field, coming off Franny Kraus. Murphy gets a paw to it, and her defenders brush it out of potential trouble. Maddie Elliston. There it's Tiernan showing her defensive prowess on the takeaway. Things getting a little dicey in the back for Rutgers, but they recover. Scored for Penn State, putting Mike O'Neill's team down 2-0 here in the opening half. Mallory Weber trying to shirk loose into the area, goes down, no call.
Yeah, that's not a call for me at all. Reed, I think, is one of the best center defenders there is in the game, and if she gets beat on that first touch, she's strong enough to clear that second one. But the referee did not like that challenge at all from Mallory Weber.
That's the second time Weber's collided with Casey Murphy.
Yeah, I think Weber's just trying to get into the game a little bit, but just being a bit reckless, a bit clumsy. Look at that excellent tackle. That is all ball. And here you got Mallory Weber. Yeah, I don't think that's as bad. I think Casey Murphy made that one look a little bit worse. You don't know. I don't think the hit was that bad. Maybe it hurt when she landed on the ground, but...
When someone's 6 foot and they go down, it's more noticeable at times. The foul's pretty even. That's exactly what the match official signaled, that she got all ball in the penalty area, so no call. Benedente. Will be a throw for the Scarlet Knights.
She definitely got some of Mallory Weber in that tackle, but she really was just going for the ball. You got to get that first. It has to be unintentional in your angle when once you do that of getting the player, and I think that was a perfect tackle. And this is the setup that they scored on in that first goal against Ohio State with Brianne Reed with the long throw-in.
Pachalski on now for Rutgers. Replaces Shiraka. The flip throw, hoisted in. And quickly onto it was Elliston. Corner kick now. We mentioned this 10-match unbeaten run for Rutgers, their longest in school history. They've only allowed 3 goals over those 10 games, so a little bit shocking to see them concede 2 in the opening half. Just knocked wide. Really first good chance around goal for the Scarlet Knights.
Yeah, she was kind of wide open. There was no one really challenging her, but she got harassed just enough in her lead up to miss hit that. You got to see Brianne with a little push off. She beats her defender. That was a well-placed ball. It was a good opportunity for Rutgers.
So Brianne Reed gets the first good goal-scoring chance. Weber still ready to attack with Charlotte Williams. Pass off target. Showing off her feet there. Begins the distribution. Maddie Elliston sprays it out wide for Mallory Weber. In pursuit is Reed. And that's why she's one of the best in the conference. You say it's her body position for Reed that you like, the positioning.
Yeah, body position is something you can use if you're compensating for a lack of speed, but she has excellent body positioning, critical footwork when she has to turn, and then add the speed to it, as well as the physical dimension where she's strong core. She's able to win those battles you saw right there without being clumsy in her approach, so she doesn't give up a lot of fouls that way.
Center back pairings her along with Erica Skrosky. Benedente. Be a throw for the Scarlet Knights. Under 8 minutes to go in the opening half. Walters. Offside flag is raised. Frustrated. Madison Tiernan. A record of 14-0 when the Nittany Lions strike first, and they've done it twice here on their home field. One of the signs, the training facility here at Jeffrey Field says when opponents come to Jeffrey Field, they are invited but not welcomed. And that's been the case here.
We've seen the exact opposite of this game almost a year ago. You and I called the game, or it was Penn State versus Rutgers, and Rutgers honestly had the run of play, controlled the ball, and Penn State did not have an answer. Right now, I feel like Rutgers is in that same situation.
And I feel you have a better memory than me, Kate Margraf. Reed will bring it in, making the slow trot into the area. Madison Tiernan.
And that's definitely their target. Madison Tiernan off that first or off that second ball.
Penn State to it first. There's Tiernan hunting for some scraps. Cleared by Elizabeth Ball, but not completely out of trouble. Finally, it's Ogle. A possession recovered by Rutgers. Again, visions of Tiernan, but Eckerstrom was wise to that. Hurriedly off her line to gather it in.
We are seeing some of the best goalkeepers in the nation today, and you're getting a glimpse of why. It's their anticipation of where the ball is going to go, and they come off their line so quickly. A ball like that could be dangerous to a lot of teams if that goalkeeper does not come out. And Eckerstrom reads it perfectly.
Pass intended for Charlotte Williams. Reed will give to Benedente. But it's a corner earned by the Nittany Lions. Time now for today's State Farm State of Success. The two Big Ten tournaments won at Jeffrey Field, 1998 and 2006 tournament champions. They're going to do it again today. Well-flighted ball. Murphy gets to it. Can't hang on to it. A foul called in the area will come out.
You get to see Murphy. She's screened by two Penn State players.
She got bumped by Kaylee Reel.
She is. What I'd love to see from that Rutgers team is whoever's on that near post 6 to be tougher, to go up and win that ball. Honestly, I don't think there's any reason why Casey Murphy is the first one to that and not a Rutgers player trying to clear it out. Even if she's calling for it, if you're that defender and you have a better option, a better angle to it, you go for it. Even if that means you might get drilled by your goalkeeper, it's better than letting it go in. Or having your goalkeeper come out hurt, trying to pick up a ball that you easily could have cleared.
Phipps on the field for Penn State now. Just her 7th game this year. Ogle will line up the free kick. So Murphy has it all away. Again, she takes a little nudge. It was Eckert there for Penn State to give her a little bump.
But there's too many times that we've seen right now against Murphy. I know they have so much confidence in her, but where's that defender with that runner that's either A, shielding the goalkeeper from getting hit, or B, just in that picture right behind him just because they got beat in that little bit of an individual duel in a race to get there first. We haven't seen that in the 3 times that she's gone up for the ball, and she's been hit every single time. It's a back line. They need to protect your goalkeeper. And this is a really good experience. I know it's horrible for them right now. They're losing 2-0. But teams are going to watch this, and teams are going to pick this out and be like, okay, this is how we can attack them. They're getting exposed right now a little bit. And they have enough time, because this team will be in the NCAA tournament. They will be in tournament selection Monday. Their name will get called tomorrow. They're going to have time to fix it.
We'll talk more about that in RPI rankings. Her halftime coverage here from Penn State. This is a Scarlet Knights team that has never trailed at half this season. So it will be a different team talk for second-year head coach Mike O'Neill. Attacking the other way, Benedente plays it out wide. Looking for Rachel Cole.
Yeah, they've gotten a bit rattled. The Rutgers team, when they're confident, they're going to not just kick that ball. They're going to look to find possession, find each other, instead of just trying to kick it over the top.
Reed back for Rutgers, spins out. Be a Nittany Lion throw, down to 42 seconds to go in the half. Ball and Ogle have scored for Penn State. This championship match. See the dominance when the Nittany Lions lead it, the break.
10, 9.
Now they've got the comforts of a 2-goal cushion.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And it's uncharted territory for Rutgers, the first time they've trailed at the half all season. You're a little surprised by this quick start by the Nittany Lions.
Well, they just seem to come out with a little bit more aggression, a bit more proactive in their attack, and they definitely took it to Rutgers. Rutgers could never get their feet going, and now you're seeing 2-0.
It's a 2-0 lead for head coach Erica Walsh. She's kind enough to join us live on the headset. A lot to like there from your team, Erica. What did you like the most?
Yeah, first off, I thought that our energy was really good right from the start of the half. We got a couple chances early and got some confidence up. I thought we're competing well physically. I think that was something that we struggled with the first time around. And I think our tempo's been pretty good.
So in the midfield, head coach Mike O'Neill said the midfield battle we have to win. And I have to say this first half, you guys definitely have. Is that because you changed your system and the way you play, putting more midfielder players in there?
Yeah, I think that our midfield three's done a nice job, and I think our wingers have done a nice job of coming back and helping us on the build. I still think we can be a lot more patient in our build-up, swinging the ball a few more times and keeping possession. A couple bad giveaways, but overall, I thought the possession's been quite good.
Erica, thanks so much. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
So Erica Walsh and the Penn State supporters love what they saw during the first half of play. They wanted to score off of set pieces. They wanted to get to the goalkeeper of the year, Casey Murphy. They did both. Scoring off of an opening corner. Ogle also added one. Nittany Lions lead 2-0 at the break. TN is brought to you by State Farm. It pays to double check. Talk to your agent today. Gorgeous setting for a little championship soccer. It's Penn State on top of Rutgers, two top 10 teams. So a little surprising to see Penn State pulling in front 2-0. Hanging out with my partner in crime, Kate Margraf. I'm Dan Kelly. Welcome back to our halftime coverage. A little surprising to see Rutgers down 2-0. What do they have to do to get back into this?
Well, Rutgers' biggest strength all season long has been their defensive organization and their possession when they win the ball. What we're not seeing is that possession at all. That's what starts their attack. It's what makes them great. They need to get back to that, get more numbers around the ball, and when they win it, don't try to win the game on that one pass. Just connect it, find that rhythm that's been sorely lacking all first half. Yeah, we look at the first half highlights, and one area that Rutgers has been a little susceptible this year is off of set pieces. Yeah, and every team knows that they've only given up 6 goals this season, now 7, and most of them have been off of corner kicks, a deflection off Elizabeth Ball. Rodriguez gets their first ball, but there's no aggression for them coming out and defending. We get to see it a little bit dicey moments and a sustained attack from Penn State. Brandy Krause gets deflected. It goes straight to Emily Ogle with this touch. She picks out the side netting. Goalkeeper Casey Murphy had no chance to get that. It's 2-0, which is the right scoreline for this game right now. They've had the run of play. They've dominated an attack. I mean, look at that. Yeah, and you don't want to give them too many corner kicks. They strike on one. They had 6 chances from the corner, and they were dangerous all first 45 minutes. Coach Erica Walsh liked the tempo, and she said they were more physical in this game. Now almost ready for second half kick, but tomorrow's a big day. NCAA tournament selection. A lot of teams hoping they hear their names called. So it's time to talk a little RPI. And not surprisingly, the 2 top 10 teams tangling today in the championship game amongst the top of the RPI teams in the Big Ten. Yeah, Rutgers and Penn State. Penn State with the number 2 RPI. Rutgers with the number 3. They're definitely in, and they'll be hosting, if not all their home games, in the tournament until the Final Four, if most of them. But where the RPI really matters is the team there in the later stages, especially Wisconsin. Even though they were co-conference champs, they are on this bubble, as well as Michigan and Nebraska. So it really comes down to selection committee, what they value, records or RPIs. Amongst those teams, is there a dark horse that you wouldn't want to face in the national tournament? Ooh, I think Minnesota is a team that kind of hit a slump in midseason, a little bit inconsistent, and that's a team with a ton of offensive power. They right those wrongs that they've had of late, and that could be a team that could go the distance. Yeah, great point, because they downed Penn State earlier. Watching this Penn State team, though, it's been pretty impressive. The first half of play, they've got the lead. First it was ball off a corner. Then in the 26th minute, Emily Ogle. Nittany Lions on top. We'll have the second half. Welcome back to the Penn State campus. About ready to start the second half. Mike O'Neill, the Rutgers head coach, is kind enough to join us. And Mike, what was the message to your team at the break to get them back into this game?
Yeah, we have to keep the ball. I don't think we put together more than 2 passes at a time. So, you know, we need to keep it. We need to make the field really big, and we need to make them run a bit. And the message was, if whoever scores the next goal is going to win the game.
Coach, a tough first half. Who are the teammates and who are the personnel that is going to turn this game around for you guys, be that emotional leaders and be able to put the ball in the back of the net?
Well, we have great leadership. I mean, from the 2 center backs. I mean, starting with Casey, the 2 center backs. I mean, we're looking for Madison and Colby up top. But it's, we haven't played our best. And we're down 2-0, and we know that. So we've got 45 minutes to change it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you so much.
And the favorite quality of talking to Mike O'Neill is he has a calmness about him, so you know there's no panic coming from the head coach.
Yeah, he's a very calm individual, mild-mannered, but also pretty joyful. He was so excited for this game when we spoke to him yesterday. And, you know, this is actually, it's a tough struggle right now. You have a chance to win the Big Ten championship, and you're losing 2-0. But what a great opportunity. Imagine the comeback this would be if they're able to pull it out.
Yeah, he said it. He told his team whoever scores next is going to win this game. It will be a giant switch in momentum at the Scarlet Knights. Can find the goal. Rodriguez. One of the best first halves we've seen her play in a while. Much better than we saw her. More active than on semifinal Friday.
And she's a leader for this Penn State team. And when that type of leadership comes out on the field and plays with that much hustle, that much energy, that's contagious for everyone else around.
And away we go. Second half of the championship game for the Big Ten tournament title. Haley Katkowski's pass is intercepted. Shiva. Rodriguez navigates to Ogle. There's Franny Kraus. But the takeaway from Ignacio. Zelly Jean couldn't accept the pass. So we look at the Nittany Lions and compare their numbers along with Rutgers when they met back on October 18th. And they're finding their right form at the right time.
There's a bit of inconsistency in the way they were coming out to play. And a lot of that is they were just trying to figure out their personnel. Head coach Erica Walsh told us, like, hey, listen, we were trying to have Ogle and Rodriguez, one be the attacker, and then they come back and they in the middle of the game and they keep switching their positions. And then they realize that it's just better if Rodriguez takes that attacking center mid role. And Ogle, who's an excellent pivot, loves to distribute the ball, sits back a bit.
Visions there of Shiva. They just couldn't make the connection. So Mike O'Neill looks for a lot more possession from his Rutgers team in the second half. Dries turns it back. Schaefer unable to bring it down. A lot of cover there as Skrosky will play it out. Big Ten Defender of the Year. Number 3, Skrosky for the Scarlet Knights. Ellie Jean on the throw. Well anticipated by Smith. Probing for the turnover, and she comes up with it. Franny Kraus. Ellie Jean the cross. Rodriguez is there. Nudges it over. First Schaefer, but that heavy first touch, and she is unable to get a shot off. Clever little back heel by Dries in the midfield. Rodriguez. Maddie Elliston. Again, it's Raquel Rodriguez. Everything has been going through number 11 in the midfield this afternoon.
Yeah, in order to break down this excellent Rutgers side, they need people in the midfield, if you're the opponent, that can turn, either with their movement and get facing up, going towards the goal they're trying to attack. Ohio State couldn't do that. But Rodriguez, through her movement and individual touches and touch on the ball, is able to find that space.
Dries takes a little stumble in pursuit with Shiraka. Attacking with speed is Ignacio, but able to elude her is Emily Ogle. Splashed out wide, Ellie Jean. Schaefer the little push, and she's called for it. That's one way to eliminate Brianne Reed.
Schaefer and Reed have been battling up. And Schaefer's just stronger than Reed. She actually doesn't need to push her down, but just gets a little bit excited in the moment. Momentum carries her. Puts her arm out, and the ref made the right call.
That's one aspect that Erica Walsh Well, one of several aspects that she liked from her team in the opening half is they were a lot more physical. And oftentimes she calls for her team to switch sides. But playing this Rutgers team, she wants to see the double switch sometimes.
Yeah, left to right and right to left. And that's a credit actually to Rutgers, believe it or not, because that means they're so well organized that the only place to attack is where there's space, and that's always on that opposite side. But they want to catch them in the middle of transition, trying to switch from their back line from right to left and how they line up, and do that quickly with 2 double switches.
Possession recovered by the Scarlet Knights. There's Elizabeth Ball. Her pass gobbled up by Kenny Wright. As Wright takes a little bump, slow to get up off the grass for Rutgers. In the meantime, Ogle will just push it back to the keeper. 85th straight start for Haley Katkowski in the midfield for Rutgers. As the flag comes up and we look at a collision moments ago.
It's between Kenny Wright and Dries. Kenny Wright took the brunt of that one.
Wright making her 6th straight start at the right back position. The big foot of Eckerstrom. A foul called. Madison Tiernan was pushed down. Tiernan scored versus Penn State last year. Up was Elliston defensively for the Nittany Lions. They're playing for a championship this afternoon on the Penn State campus. Ball deals with it defensively. Further shot up the field by Raquel Rodriguez, hunting for it. There is Schaefer, Casey Murphy. The turnover. This is Shiva. The secondary wave coming, but the cross unable to get through.
That's what head coach Mike O'Neill is talking about. That right there. They win the ball over. They pass it once. They pass it twice, and they're trying to combine that third one, and it goes straight to a Nittany Lions player almost every single time. Maybe taking a page out of the Nittany Lions book and just connecting small passes instead of trying to hit that line-changing pass going from midfield to forward, because Ogle, the defensive center mid for the Nittany Lions, is in perfect position to pick that off.
Dries spots Maddie Elliston. The perimeter of the penalty area. Sees a few defenders. End up being a goal kick.
Look at this 1v1 duel. And if I'm Rutgers, I'm not going to want to give up any corner kicks. Kenny Wright with an excellent tackle on Edison, and it ends up being a goal kick.
Andreessen out on the field right now for Rutgers. She factored in the scoring in that 2-0 win over Ohio State during the semifinals on Friday. She wears number 17. Take a look at the season resume for these Nittany Lions along with the Badgers. Winning the regular season championship, Mallory Weber, not surprisingly, her senior season, going out in style. 8 goals on the year and 9 assists, lead the conference.
Especially because she's now playing forward. When she was an underclassman, Maya Hayes was here. Head coach Eric Olaf said, hey, we have a senior who's in form. You need to go play out in the wing. But what she learned was more aspects of the game, defensive pressure, and now that she's up top, she's showing how much she's enjoying that role and putting away her opportunities and converting them when she has a chance.
Andreessen off the corner. High service, Rodriguez first to it. Second ball comes down. It's blocked by Franny Kraus. Dashing down the near side, Kaylee Reel. Sprouting up there, Shiraka. Comes back to Kobe Shiraka. The most dangerous player going forward for Rutgers. Smith blows a tire, but quickly back up to keep possession, but now turns it over. Shiva. Good anticipation out of the back by Wright to break things up, and here comes Kenny Wright. She's got options to her right and left. The long hit, first timed, a little high from distance.
That's already better from Rutgers. You're getting to see them build it out of the pack, switch. You know, Aaron Smith, the right back, had fallen on it, but then they're able to regain possession and be a bit more calm.
It was Ignacio with that attempt. Ignacio was saying she wants the Big Ten championship more than anything, and she feels that there's a different feeling amongst this Rutgers team this season. But challenged here against the 9th-ranked Nittany Lions, down 2-0. And on the road, a place that hasn't been as kind this season to the Scarlet Knights. Looking for Andreessen. Park Avenue Army has dressed for this championship game.
Right here.
Calmed down by Ogle. Ball's pass filters through to Rodriguez. Press coming. Shiraka there with the little bump. But good composure there by Elliston to keep the ball for the Nittany Lions. Dries. Over for Shiva. Service floated in nicely, first timed. Franny Kraus got a boot to it, but Casey Murphy will watch it into her hands.
And that was all Shiva. She started as the outlet for the pressure ball from Elliston, played it back, and then spun out and got in a better position and able on the flank to receive it. And that was a good service into Kraus. That's a player head coach Erica Walsh talked about. It's like, how do you play against a team that's so well organized, likes to stretch the field, but you can't find those passing channels? She's like, you need to play players like Shiva and Williams and Rodriguez. They like to find that pocket. They can turn, and they can set play from there.
Kaylee Reel was fouled and takes a knee.
Bouncing ball going in the back, which is always so difficult. Your defender, you know you're going to come out. Madison Tiernan needs to be careful. That's the third foul we've seen her do. She had no intention of winning that ball. She is lucky, in my opinion, that she did not see a yellow on that.
Agreed, especially after that second look, and it happened right in front of the Park Avenue Army, the supporters for the Nittany Lions, so we heard some shouts as well from the crowd.
Yeah, that's not unusual from your supporting fan club to kind of harass you as a player, make some comments that aren't always so nice to hear. And sometimes it's a player that can fire you up and you become a bit more aggressive. I wonder if that's what's happening.
I think some of their venom there was directed towards the referee. So Mallory Weber back on, replaces Raquel Rodriguez. So Rocky will get a little breather.
Now push. Field battle because
So a little chippy the last couple of minutes.
yeah, the referee's gonna have to blow their whistle on one of them, try to get the game back in hand. This is an important game, but this isn't the last game for either of these teams. We want to keep these players healthy.
You hear the message, don't let her turn, don't let her turn.
And that's coming from goalkeeper Britt Eckerstrom. The leadership that she brings, and also her ability to organize. Head coach Erica Walsh says that many times she's hoarse after games because she's talking like that, like what you just heard all game long.
She had some energy even running onto the field prior to the game.
It's fast.
Schaefer can't chase it down. That's what Mike O'Neill, Rutgers head coach, was saying prior to the game, is try to take the emotional aspect out of it and just step between the lines and play some soccer. Now the challenge a little stiffer, trailing by 2. Under a half hour to go. Breezed across to Kenny Wright. Look at the tournament bracket. Started with the quarterfinals last weekend. Penn State over Illinois. Then they had the impressive shutout performance over Michigan on Friday for Rutgers. Started with that 4-1 win over Minnesota. And then Ohio State on Friday in the semifinals, scoring 2 opening half goals. Looking there for Tori Prager, but it's Penn State the other way. Ogle ahead for Schaefer. Here's Ellie Jean. Coach Erica Walsh says she could just watch Ellie Jean run all day, number 14. She can fly.
And she can solve a lot of problems just with her athleticism. And this underclassman has learned the nuances of the game and how to start solving pressure with positioning, shape, and now passing out of pressure. She'll continue to get better as her college career goes on. But what I've been watching for is how much service goes into the front runners of Rutgers. We have not seen one clean service into them. We haven't seen Colby Shiraka, who is a game changer. She hasn't received the ball at all this half. If Rutgers wants a chance to get back in this, they need to connect these passes, and Shiraka needs to find the ball. The credit Penn State, they're preventing that service forward with their shape, with Ogle screening in front of that back 4. And the pressure that's going on in front of them. It's difficult to find those passing channels.
And that's been a microcosm right there of their struggles. They get possession for a moment. Kate mentioned it earlier this half, and then they cough it up. It's Franny Kraus. Ogle into the area. Schaefer trying to squirrel loose, but onto it first was Casey Murphy.
That's excellent defending by Rutgers right there. Schaefer, so strong, so balanced in her movement, is able to get onto it. But Skrosky, I love his defensive position. What an excellent touch by Schaefer. Casey Murphy was waiting for it, but Schaefer got a little nudge from the center back, Skrosky, from Rutgers. Harassed her enough or distracted her enough where Casey Murphy could come out and grab it without there really being any danger.
Shiva will just play it deep into Rutgers territory.
Kenny Wright trying to do something. Under 17 national team player, came in as a freshman, won a starting spot at left back.
Shiraka clips it the other way. Ball is back. Quick decision making, and Shiva is able to latch onto that pass. Making Mallory Weber move back a little bit as she had inched forward on this throw. Reed, never really a hope for Madison Tiernan. Ball will utilize her keeper to take some more time off the clock.
Yeah, Madison Tiernan is not that forward that's going to beat you across the top. But what she does, what that ball does do, which I'm not a huge fan of that service, but what that ball does do is it kind of pushes Penn State back and allows you to apply pressure. That's the ball you want to hit to Colby Shiraka or Ignacio, not to Tiernan, who have a bit more speed, a bit pacier.
Skrosky. Murphy out of trouble. Rising up there is Emily Ogle. Good shield by Schaefer. Hands on to Mallory Weber. As Weber from the ground to Schaefer. And able to direct it near the frame.
You can see the strength of Schaefer finding Mallory Weber. The recovery speed of Reed goes for the ball. Those two have been battling all game long.
Schaefer. Dries with the attempt. Doesn't get through the traffic. Just safely played out by the Scarlet Knights. Substitution time.
Well, Rutgers has only given up 6 goals this season, make it now 7. The majority of them have been off corner kicks. We get to see a rattled Rutgers side getting pinned in their own half. And then Emily Ogle takes the touch into the space. If you get her feet right, and able to hit it far post. The entire first half was all Penn State.
Here comes Aaron Smith. She likes to get forward. Checking some options. Sees Katkowski over her right shoulder. Numbers back, though, now for Penn State. It's Reed trying to switch it. Franny Kraus gets a piece of it. But overrunning it was Eckert. Voice of Britt Eckerstrom.
And Rutgers is so dangerous on these throw-ins. A flip throw from Brianne Reed. This ball goes considerable distance.
It's like a mini corner. Ball to it first. Trying to pick up some loose crumbs in the area. But Valiant is dispossessed. And just played a long way from goal. We'll probably see more from Penn State protecting this 2-0 lead. The Rutgers supporters have traveled well.
They're out early. There were vans outside tailgating, getting ready for this game. A very vocal group that sometimes you get silence when the other team is playing better than you.
Jean. Kraus couldn't bring it down. It's Franny Cross forcing things. She won 2 consecutive state championships at Greensburg Catholic School. Not a surprise. She wasn't that fond of the name Francis. She says that that's kind of an older person's name. So she oftentimes just went by Kraus or now Franny. She says the only time that she gets called Francis is when her parents get mad at her. Not a surprise.
I love her story, though. She played with boys for the majority of her upbringing. She didn't realize how fast she was until she started playing with girls, and she's like, watched herself. She's like, I can't believe how fast I am.
She had a giant smile post-game Friday. And that Nittany Lions victory with a gorgeous goal scored from distance.
It's not the first time she's been able to score beautiful goals. Had one against Stanford. Good to see it.
Let's see it another time.
0-0 at this point. Franny Kraus is just waiting for the ball to pop out, and look what she does with that.
Flip throw coming in. Madison Tiernan just couldn't secure possession. Prager will knock it right back into the area. Eckerstrom, timely off her line, like she has been all game.
Penn State isn't winning a lot of those flip throws first balls, but they are underneath at getting that second ball. But their body positioning isn't quite right, so they can hit that shot off, because Penn State is so well organized defensively. They're going to harass you if you try to take 2 touches to the point where you're not going to get it off, and that's what they've been doing on all of Brienne's throws, which are usually so dangerous against other teams.
That's Kate Margraf. I'm Dan Kelly, our BTN crew. So glad you could join us for the Big Ten Women's Soccer Tournament from the Penn State campus in beautiful Jeffrey Field on a sparkling Sunday in Happy Valley. Next up, more beautiful game. Penn State and Ohio State. Quarterfinal coverage. Former Rutgers women's head coach Glenn Crooks on the call, along with Chris Doran. Katkowski swarmed by numbers. It's Mallory Weber out of the dust with possession. On the follow-through, Kraus trying to get a shot, but a great recovery by Reed from the ground to begin the attack for Rutgers. Chipped out wide. Skrosky. Jabbed out by Kaylee Rio.
Skrosky, the center back from Rutgers, has now been moved closer to the goal. They're trying to finally put one in the back of the net to try to get even in this game, or at least put one goal in on their 2-goal challenge that they have. She's excellent in reading balls that are crossed and off balls on the throw-in.
Hoisted in by Reed. Will be a corner. She was directed out by Maddie Elliston. High service, Penn State 2 at first, and the second ball cleared by Franny Kraus. Be a goal kick.
Corner kick.
Or rather, a corner kick. Surprise, surprise. And Rutgers is going to have to strike here soon, starting to run out of time, facing a 2-goal deficit. Whipped in by Valiant. Rising up first to greet it was Emily Ogle, cleared away. Sharaka, the glancing header. Skrosky takes it end line across the face of goal. As Valiant was there.
Offsides. Offsides. This is the right center back from Rutgers, who's now been moved up. I actually don't know what the call that was. I don't think that was offsides at all. But you're getting to see what happens now that Rutgers went over the end line is what we're hearing from our excellent camera and staff, the behind-the-scenes people. But you're getting to see what happens when Rutgers is down. They're now making some formation changes, trying to do something to change the outcome of this game.
Stepping up is Reed. Never really a chance there for Madison Tiernan to catch up to it. Well, we move from the women's to the men's soccer tournament. 3 of the 4 quarterfinal matches already completed. So we await Ohio State and Penn State. Penn State, the men's in overtime, down the green and white. So Bob Warming, a happy coach. So we look at some of their accomplishments over the years. Just 15 minutes to go in the championship game here on the women's side.
And number 8, Cassidy Benedetta.
So some newer legs subbed on for Rutgers. Cool little back heel by Skrosky. Madison Tiernan tries to make the turn. Still fighting for it. And Dreesen also there. But spirited away by Mallory Weber. Elliston 1v2. And she breaks through. Options down to the left. Steaming onto it is Eckert. Bounding shot. A little spillage by Casey Murphy, but she recovers it.
Rutgers is now in a 3-back, which means they're getting much more vulnerable to counterattacks, especially right here. Eckert with a good attempt from distance, but nothing that was going to trouble Casey Murphy, a goalkeeper of incredible quality.
Megan Schaefer, 10 goals on the season, takes it end line, filters it into the area. Shiva leaves it, and it's driven wide by Drees.
Substitution for Penn State, checking in number 12, Charlotte Williams. She replaces number 15.
So Williams on for Rodriguez. Supporters starting to smell a championship here on the Penn State campus. Shiva draws the foul, as Katkowski was called. Nicolette Drees plays it square over for Ellie Jean. Tiernan ready to counter. Had the option of switching to Pacholski. Went to the more congested side, and emerging with it is Charlotte Williams. But possession recovered by Prager, but only for a moment. Desperate times now for Rutgers. look for more numbers pouring forward for the Scarlet Knights. It's Shiva. Skipping onto it, Ellie Jean. Nicole Dries. Out wide to Mallory Weber. Inching in closer in the area. Chested towards the goal by Dries as she took that pass from Weber.
Yeah, Weber puts her hand up like, sorry. That wasn't really anything a good easy ball. But Weber is playing against Reed, who isn't giving her the end line, and that was really her only chance, unless she's going to spin it back and go the other way.
Service coming. Pachalski was nearest as we look at the Penn State chance again.
You get to see this, Mallory Weber. She's going against Kenny Wright, actually, and Dries just tries to do something. A little shoulder pass.
After that line drive pass. So 10 minutes to go. Booted away by Eckerstrom. Coming up next, more soccer, quarterfinal action. Number 9, Penn State versus the number 1 seed. Surprise, surprise, what a turnaround this year for John Bloom's Buckeyes. Shiva. Perhaps forcing that pass a little bit, and Andreessen reads it. Well brought down there by Ogle. Penn State looking for their first Big Ten tournament title since 2008. Charlotte Williams draws the call.
Tori Prager and Charlotte Williams. Charlotte Williams, a freshman. Head coach Erica Walsh says this might be one of the most exciting players I have the privilege to coach. So fast and accelerates. Prager pulling her down. I'm sorry, that's a yellow card. That's intentional. But she did it in a way which was really difficult for the ref to see.
Leads to this free kick. Weber misses it, but catches up to it. Had the option of Shiva. Jabbed out by Reed.
You know, I like that Rutgers hasn't given up. They just can't figure it out. They just are off their game a little bit. Credit Penn State came out early and took them out of the rhythm, and that's just something Rutgers hasn't been able to find. They haven't found that player that can connect 2, 3, 4, 5 passes and get their confidence up. That's because Penn State came out so strong. They had more energy. They're finding the gaps and pockets in ways that other teams have not been able to do against Rutgers. But they haven't given up. Every time they touch the ball, I almost think something could happen. But they're just not connecting. They're not finding Shiraka. Can't find Tiernan to her feet, trying to hit her over the top. It's just an off day for them, and that happens.
Monome now on the field for Rutgers. Looking for the little slip pass. Eckerstrom aggressively off her line as it was the outside back. Aaron Smith rummaging in the area looking for it.
She's so fast off her line, and she anticipates so well because she's paying attention the entire 90 minutes. She doesn't lose her focus. And that allows her to do things like that.
Off the back of Schaefer. She gets the call. Nicolette Dries plays it short to Weber. Steering to Ellie Jean. And Weber get up there after it. Andreessen moves the attack forward. But it's the freshman, Real, out of trouble.
She's had a good game today.
Shiva. That touch just got away from her. The captain Skrosky the other way, shedding defenders. The flag comes up. Looks like Mike O'Neill's Rutgers team might see their 10-match unbeaten run expire this afternoon against Penn State.
Substitutions for Penn State. Checking in number 10,
and
Emily
Ogle back in.
She replaces number 23, Nicolette Reese. Also number 9, Franny Krause enters, replacing number 12, Charlotte Williams.
So that freshman you spoke of. A few back slaps from the coaching staff. Shiva. Having to turn back forward is Franny Krause. Rodriguez under a little duress as Aaron Smith hunting for the turnover. Reed out of the back. Back to the keeper, Britt Eckerstrom. There's Tiernan to pick off the pass. Fake by Tiernan, now launches it into the area. Quick hit, and we have life. Thy captain, Eric Skrosky, puts Rutgers to within one.
Get to see a replay. This all-star Skrosky building it up, goes to Tiernan.
No goal, called offside.
They're calling it offsides. You can see the sideline on our end kind of being like, what happened? What happened? But the referee, the linesman, clearly had her flag up. And Madison Tiernan needs to be careful. She's yelling at the referee a second ago. We get to see it again. Watch at the top of your screen. The ref, even if she didn't touch it, she was impeding the play of Eckerstrom. So that's the reason why. Even if she didn't touch it, the offsides was called because her movement threw the goalkeeper off enough. Her Skrosky shot did not count.
So it remains 2-0 with just over 3 minutes to go.
You know, that would have been a great goal. But she was offside from the minute. Look, she's offside from that position right there. So it doesn't matter what happens now. Even if she touches or doesn't touch it, she impedes the play. It interferes with Eckerstrom's decision-making ability with her positioning.
That's the right call as Franny Krause in the midfield. Spots Schaefer over to her right.
This game just speaks to when you have two teams that are so talented with stars, have so many game changers, how critical it is to come out with energy and just excitement to play. And Penn State had that from the get-go. So from that point, Rutgers could never recover. If you don't start off on the right foot against a talented team, it's so difficult to get back into it.
Safely out by Elizabeth Ball. Under 2 minutes remain. Second try, Basinger. Nudged out by Shiva. That group ready to... Flipped in by Reed. As Andreessen unable to unload that shot. As Pacholski goes down, and the call is granted. Benedente lines things up for this free kick.
One minute remaining in the second half.
Tiernan was nearest for Rutgers. There's Shiva. Just takes it to a safe place. And an even safer place out of bounds. This would be Penn State's first win over Rutgers since September of 2008. And speaking of 2008, that's the last time Penn State won this tournament. Ball.
10,
away from trouble.
9,
the countdown begins, and so nice to do it on their home field. Meet the 2015 Big Ten tournament champions, the Nittany Lions from Penn State. The sixth time and the most all-time, and let the celebrations begin.
Yeah, I love how Penn State is celebrating their back line and their goalkeeper. You know, they didn't have a lot of work to do. There wasn't a lot of service going into the Rutgers front runners, but every time they did, they cleaned it up nicely, and Eckerstrom was excellent in coming off her line.
Number 10 didn't have a bad week as well. Emily Ogle, today's Coyote Logistics, no excuses, impact player. Scoring the second goal unassisted in the 26th minute.
You know, I love seeing a player that is so critical to how a team plays, gets rewarded in the stat column as well. Only 3 goals, but she is huge for this team. And a lot of times the best player on the field, game in and game out.
And it was another shutout for the Nittany Lions. They did it on Friday, the semifinals you see against Michigan. Illinois, they scored a late goal, so that's the only goal that Penn State allowed in the tournament. What a good run, though, for Rutgers, first Minnesota, then Ohio State, but just too much depth and balance facing a Penn State team that had the tempo right from the get-go today.
Yeah, they were a bit inconsistent during the season because they were trying to figure out their lineup and the natural fluctuations in players' performance during the season, but they're hitting their stride at the right time. Past couple games, they have figured out the formation and where to insert the players. Rodriguez high and Ogle holding the defensive center mid, I think, is key for them and was part of the reason why they found their form, have the momentum, and have confidence. Well,
bad news for the rest of the Big Ten Conference. Penn State, they've won the tournament again, and the bulk of this team, a lot of freshmen and sophomores, so they're going to be dominant for a while. We'll come back in side. 2 top 10 teams tangled this afternoon, but Penn State emerges the victors. 2015 Big Ten tournament champion Emily Ogle. How cool does that sound?
It's awesome. It's a great feeling. Hats off to Rutgers. They played a great game, and we responded. I mean, earlier this year, Rutgers gave us a really hard challenge, but we fought back. We had some blue-collar mentality today, and we got the result we wanted.
You're so critical to the success of this team, sitting in that pivot role. Talk to us a little about your partnership with Rodriguez and how you guys end up being such a good partnership down the spine of your team.
You know, Rocky is a phenomenal player, and she brings so many quality attributes to this team. And just with her leadership and communication, it really allows us to play well together and help the team out in whatever way we can.
Some bigger things to come. I guess this dream season is not over quite yet, is it?
No, we're not done yet. We still got a bigger goal ahead of us. We want to win the national championship, so this is just a small step towards that bigger goal.
But you're done with us. Put down that headset and go celebrate with your teammates.
Thank you.
Those long training sessions, the adversity that you hit at times during the season, it's all gone away. Now just some big smiles on this championship Sunday.
You only get here if you put together good result after good result during the grind of the season. And this is a team that fought through a bit of inconsistencies, people questioning how good they were. Well, I think they came out today and showed people how good they can be. Now they got all the pieces together, and they're firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, certainly peaking at the right time. And now holding a trophy.
It's one of the best feelings you have as an athlete, and it's something that you'll always remember as you get older, 10, 15 years. No one can ever take that away from you, the fact that you won a Big Ten championship.